Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and canvas some characters to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna.
Hi, guys.
Marissa.
Hello.
And I'm Megan. Before we get started, let's talk about what we're drinking. So let's start with Jenna.
I am drinking the same thing as you, Megan. Sorry, I'm taking your thunder here.
I'm the host.
I'm drinking the creme brulee green tea from the Tea and Ice Exchange. Is that correct? Megan brought it. It's one of my favorites. But she just restocked, and I'm like, okay, I just got to buy this because every time she brings it, I love it.
It's so good. How about you, Marissa?
That sounds very good. I very much appreciate Jenna putting this tea in this mug.
I thought of that. I did on purpose.
But I am once again drinking Quoth the Raven in my Edgar Allan Poe mug that Megan brought over, which I love. I've had this tea on the podcast before, but if this is your first episode you're listening to, it is an Earl Grey, vanilla, and blackberry tea.
That does sound good. All right. So today we're just going to have a kind of a chill day, and we're going to talk about some characters. And I think we're going to talk about like characteristics or books that have done really good characters or really good villains, or I guess we could have villains as a whole other episode, honestly.
We could, but I think we'll touch on it here anyway because villains are such a big character that it's like if you do it really well, they stand out the best.
I agree.
I liked that when Jenna suggested this prompt last night, so we're all very not prepared for it. But when Jenna suggested this prompt, it was like it made me think of other prompts for it, like sub prompts. So it's like characters is a good all-encompassing one, and I think that's really cool that we're doing it. And then I'm like, oh, and we could talk about different like animals in books and different like heroes versus antagonists, and I'm like, it went off on me. So I think possible future episodes, but for this one we'll keep it generalized, right?
Prompts. I'm prompting prompts.
So basically, I don't know. How about we start off with something very simple? Has there been a character in recent books that has stood out to you guys?
So the funny thing about this, I guess, I'll kind of, rather than jumping into that exact answer, which is, although this is kind of what started it, is what made me think about this book is I had reached out to Megan because this prompt, not the book. I had reached out to Megan because I had just started reading One Dark Window, which Megan had loved, and she had been raving about it, I think, on one of our previous episodes. And at first, when I first started at the kind of beginning of the book, I was like, oh, this is an interesting character. The female main character, Elspeth.
Yeah.
And then there was like a chunk of the book in the like where the plot kind of starts to take off. And I was like, oh no, they're doing the thing that all the female main characters are doing lately. And I kind of like went on a rant to Megan, right? Well, I pushed through and I continued reading this book because it came so highly recommended. I do like the idea of it. But the funny thing is that now when you say like, is there a character that stood out to you? I just finished the book yesterday, and she stands out to me as a character that I really enjoyed. And I think what I like about it and what I liked about her is I like characters, especially female main characters or I guess male main characters, but I think it comes off a little crazier. But when they have a little bit of madness in them. And the whole idea with Elspeth is that she has another soul living in her mind and stuff like that. And I don't want to give too much away with that, but you learn pretty quickly that like she had absorbed another being into her head, and he lives in there, and he's getting stronger and stuff like that. And I thought that she was so interestingly well written because when that being helps her, he gives her strength, and suddenly she's this warrior when he's there. But like before, she's kind of just this timid little girl that had a fever and like, you know, just wears dresses. And the first time she wears pants, she's like, oh my God, do I have to walk in front of people that are wearing pants? You know, like, so it was kind of interesting to watch her grow as a character and accept the monster. So she kind of stands out to me, even though for a chunk of the book, she did the one thing that I hate the most with characters lately, and did the I'm so strong that because I'm strong, I'm just mad at all of you for every reason. And that bothers me. I hate when people do that. Like, oh, you lied to me? I'm mad at you. Let me just yell at you in front of everyone because I'm mad at you. That's not strength. That's just
even though she also lied.
hot-tempered. Even though she also lied.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Elspeth.
Elspeth.
Long story short, Elspeth.
And technically the nightmare, because the being in her
Yeah.
is called the nightmare. So
Yeah.
it's Elspeth / nightmare. How about you, Marissa?
That sounds very intriguing, actually. So similar to Jenna, what popped up for me, and I think it's just because I'm currently reading it right now, is Tanuva from Day of Fallen Night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's kind of my current like character that's standing out to me right now. The cool thing about those books, The Priory of the Orange Tree and A Day of Fallen Night, is that there's so many different characters and so many different stories for you to follow. And I think all the characters, like for the most part, are really good characters that I like. But obviously, you always have your favorite story. And when you're reading everybody else's story, you're like, this is very interesting and I'm really liking it, but I want to go back to my character.
Yes.
So she's the one that's standing out to me. I think the thing that I like about her and her story in that book in particular is because I feel like all the other stories are about the younger characters, or focused on the younger characters, where she's like the older, like 40-year-old woman.
Yeah.
She's obviously the gay one, so of course I'm going to go into that one a bit more. But she's just got a lot of complexities, and the way that her character is written, it shows there's a lot of like reference to her youth and how it shapes how she is, and all of her past and how it shapes how she is. She's a very strong character, but she focuses on her kindness and wanting to help people, and she recognizes her weaknesses but never shies away from them.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I really liked Tanuva.
Yeah. So she's my most recent favorite character that I've been reading about.
Yeah. Since I did audiobook for that one, I do not remember most of the characters' names. But you bring up Tanuva. I was like, oh yeah, I remember her now.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far you are, but like I love how she recognizes when she like makes a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. She recognizes it right away and is just like, I thought I was doing something good, and it was her kindness that like.
And that's what it is. Her weakness is technically her kindness.
Yeah.
And her like connection she has with people.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that know the book or don't know the book, I guess, she's part of the Priory, and so she's very heavy into a religion. Mm-hmm. And that religion is very much like, okay, it's okay to have friends and connections, but your strongest connection has to be with their quote-unquote God.
Mm-hmm. The mother, right?
Yeah, the mother.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that has to be your strongest connection. So when her like connections with other people and her wanting to help other people kind of conflict with that, she recognizes, she's like, oh no, I made a mistake, but she still stands by it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about her.
Yeah, like she said, I was doing what I thought was best, and I was kind, and I was using that kindness for what I again thought was best for the Priory, but oops.
But
Yeah. We'll talk more about that later, because that one is going to be.
I have to read the
It's
Priory
so
first.
good. You definitely have to read Priory first. You technically don't have to.
Yeah.
But there's so many. This talks about so many plot twists from Priory that it's really important to, I think, reading wise, to read Priory for you to get like the full effect of those plot twists.
Right.
I will say there's something about the Priory, a spoiler in the Priory of the Orange Tree, that is making me guess things in this book that I think are true, that if I hadn't read the Priory of the Orange Tree, I would never have guessed it.
Yeah. And I think I know exactly what you're thinking about.
Yep.
And it has to do with Tanuva's
Yep,
kindness,
yep,
right?
Yep, 100%. Yep.
Yep. As for me, I think my most recent character that really stood out to me is Winnie Wednesday from The Luminaries by... I forgot her name. Susan Dennard. And she is... So, for those that don't know, The Luminaries is very much a YA book, in that the main character is 16 and goes to high school, and it has all of these, like, high school feelings to it, but I feel she does it in a way that doesn't make the character annoying. So Winnie Wednesday doesn't focus only on boys, and she doesn't focus on like, oh, he's just so hot. Oh, I just want to be with him. Oh my gosh, my friends are so annoying. She doesn't have that like feeling that I feel like a lot of, even though Luminaries is not contemporary, it's fiction, but it is like set in our world, but in this area that has a spooky forest. And
Spooky forest.
Yes.
she's training to be a luminary, which is people who go into the forest and defeat, because every night the mist rises and these monsters are created from like the spirits' nightmares. And so she like is training to go in and be a luminary to defeat those monsters. And one of her first tasks is that she has to go into the forest and kill a monster. And it is a super, super minor spoiler, but it's like within the first 3 chapters. So she goes in and doesn't kill a monster, but something else kills a monster, and she like picks up the head of that banshee. She picks up the head of the banshee, and like as she leaves the forest, everyone sees her holding it, and they're like, "Oh my god, you killed a banshee? That's incredible! Oh my god, no, like not even the adults kill banshees because they're so strong." And she was just like, "What?" And they're like, "I can't believe you did that! Wow, you're amazing! You're gonna be like the hunter out there." And she's just like, "Okay." And so then
No, I didn't do it. I just failed it. It's like, yeah, sure, I did that.
There are other reasons for why she starts this lie, but one of the things I loved is that she like really had this anxiety around this lie, and the whole first book is centered on her like how do I keep this up in order to not be like banned from continuing the trials to be a luminary. And she's so focused on that she doesn't have time for boys. Of course, there is a boy involved. And I will say the only annoying thing about the book was that anytime he was around, she had to mention how he smelled, of course. And it was bergamot and lime, by the way. That's how I know, because it's ingrained in my brain that she had to say it every single time. But I really liked her because she's also, I feel like there's 2 sides of this coin for 16-year-old protagonists, and it's either she, no matter how much training she's had her entire life, she's just amazing, she can do everything, she's a 16-year-old who can battle monsters, defeat dragons, and take down entire governments. Or there's like the contemporary side where she's just so obsessed with boys, or she's like, I'm not like other girls kind of thing, and then everyone is obsessed with her.
Girls.
Yeah. So I felt like this kind of took that common trope that's out there these days and made her, she's anxious. She often questions why she's even wanting to do this, because as she goes into the forest, she realizes it's a lot scarier than she thought it would be. It's a spooky forest, yeah. So she, I really liked that she had that, and not just no, this is what I was born for. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be the best at it. And then, of course, she is. No, I liked that it was different. So yeah, Winnie Wednesday. She's my most recent.
You've got me overthinking my novel now with lilies.
Okay.
You were just talking about like always mentioning how they or how he smells, and
Lily always smells like lilies.
Well, I mean, I don't mention it all that much, but it's the fact that her name is Lilies. Well, her name is
Nickname.
Lilies because she smelled like lilies, and I'm like, now I'm really thinking that.
Mm-hmm. I think if you just mention it like,
but that works because it becomes a nickname. It's not like you're
right.
just like, oh, I smelled lime and bergamot. He must be near.
Yeah. And I was talking to Hannah about it actually last night, because she just finished it last night. And she was saying, she was like, I think it would have hit more if they had only mentioned it twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it would have been done. But for it, any time he was nearby and he like loans her a sweatshirt or something, and she's just like, oh, I'm in bergamot. Oh my gosh. And I was just like, honestly, I love the smell of bergamot. I love, lime is fine, but the 2 together, would that even be a good combination? And I feel like writers do that because what was it, like the candle boom of 2016 to 2020 or something, where they were making so many candles out of I have too many candles because of that, but they were making so many candles based on like characters and books and stuff that I feel like people are doing this so that way they can have a candle exclusive to.
I wasn't
His
doing
name was
that.
Jay.
Well, and scent is such a powerful like trigger for memories and emotions and stuff like that. So if you do have things like that, it does trigger so much in our brain. To be honest, it's weird because we can describe a character and stuff like that, and they can describe someone as dark-haired and gray-eyed, and all three of us would look and imagine a different person.
Yeah.
But you can't sit there and be like, bergamot and lime. We all three imagine different smells. Like,
Yeah.
It's true.
So it kind of is a very solid thing that they can kind of pull back to.
That's a good point. I just feel like growing up and reading books, and even before, I'd say 2016, 2015, I don't really remember people describing smells about their characters unless it was like, oh, he smelled like sweat and man. And then I was also joking how back when I was in high school, we were in high school, you couldn't, I was like, I joked that our olfactory glands were basically scarred from all of the Axe body spray.
Yes.
So there's no way we
yeah.
could have associated it with a boy because it was
smelled like
so
every
strong.
boy.
Yeah.
The entirety of the gym halls in high
I was
school.
going to say,
Like,
walking by like the male locker room, the boy locker room or whatever, and just clouds of that. Oh,
but you know what's funny is that as we're talking about it and as we're thinking about it, like I'm thinking back and it's like the smell, specifically the smell of the cologne that I had bought my husband a few years back that he still sprays on and everything. Like that's one of my favorite smells. And when he's working a lot and I don't get to see him a lot, every once in a while if I'm wearing one of his shirts, I'll just spray a little bit on like the edge of his shirt just so I can get that smell and like feel like he's closer to me. So
Gross.
all my cute lovey-dovey stuff. But like, it's funny because like his mom lives with us and stuff, and she was like, "I smell Jelani," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I miss him." Like, but like certain scents like that, you associate with different people, and then like I remember having a friend that had like a very distinct like they used Tide and a certain fabric softener in their clothes, and their clothes always smelled really strongly of Tide. So every time I smell Tide, I think of that friend. And it's like, so it is funny how like thinking back, it is such a strong like
it
pinnacle
is, yeah.
of like how
Yeah.
you remember things. So
Oh, yeah,
I can see
even-
it. I just think that unfortunately with a book, like if you repeat anything too much in a book,
It loses its.
it loses its
charm.
charm.
Yeah.
Like those little moments of like, and especially if you continue to say bergamot and lime, or a lot of the ones are like cypress or woods or musk or whatever, you know, it's like if you use those words over and over again, like rather than using different words to describe a similar thing, like, you know, the lime you could still have that like the clean smell of citrus, or little things like that could kind of make you remember it. But those repetitive words just kind of stand out too much in books when you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I like that this brought into a prompt of like describing characters,
Yeah.
because I think sometimes, personally as a writer, I think sometimes that is both the easiest and hardest thing to do. Because if you have a very clear character in your mind and you can describe it, you want to describe it in a very nice, fun way, you can do that. But then there's sometimes that I'll have characters that I'm like, okay, how do I describe this character? Especially like characters of different races or something like that. It's like I want to make sure I describe them so that it's clear that I have different characters in here, but I also don't want it to be too detailed so people can still make up their own mind about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's that, you know, like I want you to know that they look this way. I want you to understand that this is an African American character, but I don't want to tell you exactly what they look like. I want you to build this and put this character together this way so that in your mind they look like and smell like how you want.
There's nothing worse than when I'm reading a book and for like this happened in freaking A Day of Fallen Night, and this is another thing that I'm guessing right now where I am imagining a character and then I guessed something and I'm now imagining the character completely different than what they are described as, or than what I imagined, because they are now described as something different.
You talked about that with ages.
Yes.
In an earlier episode where you're just like, oh, you're actually 16 and not 25. What?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's so hard when it does do that like flip. So I think that's something that needs to get out of the way really early. Yeah. But even if it's out of the way early, sometimes I've already made up my mind on a character. And so I just ignore some descriptions.
Yeah, that's actually what I've been doing with ever since I got completely obsessed with The Acolyte. And when I was reading The Luminaries, even though they kept describing Jay, who's the guy, potential love interest, I guess, they're like, oh yeah, he flips his blonde hair, and I was like, no, he doesn't. It's Manny Jacinto. He is Asian. He is not blonde. He is Asian, and he has long black hair in his eyes, and he is hot. And that's all I've been imagining, no matter what characters since then. So the last 10-ish books, it's all been Manny Jacinto. He's just been in my life constantly. I'm not complaining.
He's starring in all the
books, and a lot of them are rom-coms.
Yeah.
Fantasy and rom-coms that I've been reading recently. It's just Manny Jacinto has been in everything.
Yeah, I do that too. Sometimes, like, even if they describe a character a certain way, especially visually, if I've decided that they look different in my head already, it's like almost like I get like I hiccup or I trip over the word, and I'm like, gray eyes. No, he had green eyes in my head, or whatever. And it's like I'm like, and then sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, did I make that up? Maybe the author said green earlier, and then she changed her mind. And so then I have to go back and see if I was crazy, and if they changed their mind.
That's what
usually
I did.
I'm crazy.
That's what I did in A Day of Fallen Night. I went back to the previous chapter where they described the character, and I'm like, is this really what they look like?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess it is. Well, that's my bad.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, though, is that, like, you kind of can do, like, I mean, it's a thing now with Book Talk and Bookstagram and all that, and all of fan art being readily available. I mean, when we were in high school, you had your own fan art. You might have to like Google search things, but now like you can find so much fan art. So people do a lot of that things in Dreamcasts and like, who do you want to play so and so? And it's interesting because even when they do try to meet the qualifications of what the author described, everyone has a different idea of who the perfect person would be for it.
Yeah. It's crazy too because similarly, and this one wouldn't be a spoiler, so I can actually talk about it. The Priory of the Orange Tree, when they talk about Iad, I always think, like, when I was reading it, I pictured her as more like Syrian, which I guess is personalized for me in some way, but I pictured it more like Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
And then
she is Middle Eastern.
Well, every fan art, it's all like South African, not South African, but it's much darker skin and much. Oh. I think it was pictured more as darker than what I pictured. I pictured very light skin and very like more deserty. Which I think makes sense because of the desert that surrounds where they're at. But
the cover that because she's not from the Priory, so she did grow up in the desert area.
Yeah.
And so I think I did give her like a medium tone darker skin when I did the fan art for the alternate cover that I designed. Mm-hmm. But I also have another where it was like a calendar of like all the romance, and it was Sabrin. What was her name?
Sabrin.
And Iad together, and she did have kind of lighter skin. I'll send you a picture of it.
Okay. Because, I mean, obviously everybody has a different tone that they do when they do the fan art for it. But I just remember the first time, like, I finished the book, and I'm like, cool, I can finally look up fan art, because I don't look up fan art while I'm reading because of spoilers.
Yeah.
And Sabrin basically is what I pictured. Mm-hmm. It was really well done. It was oh gosh, what's her name? She played Lena Luthor in Supergirl.
Never saw it.
I never saw it either, but she's all over Tumblr when you're a lesbian. She played, did you watch Arthur, I think it was called?
No.
It was the younger one? I don't know. Anyways,
What was her name?
I don't know the actress's name. That's my problem. I can't remember her name.
Lena Luthor. Just look up Lena
Yeah.
Luthor.
But she was who I pictured for Sabrin, and that's who I guess everybody pictured for her. Or at least inspired by her.
Her?
Yes. That's
Rachel Weisz?
No.
No, but she looks like
She does look like Rachel Weisz a little bit. That's a bad picture. Look her up in as Morgana and Arthur.
Oh, okay. Morgana is basically Sabrin. Sabran. I don't remember.
Okay, let me look it up 1 sec.
Anyways, she's what I pictured, and a lot of people use that. I don't think use that, but it's very similar. Where I think Enid had so much diversity to it, and never what I pictured.
Yeah.
So I think that was the hard part for me. It was like, oh, I didn't imagine it was like super dark skin, or I didn't imagine that it was like, I don't know what it was, how other people did. And I was like, I thought it was just a bit more like, Middle Eastern or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I always imagined her as Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jenna's our researcher over there looking stuff
I
up.
am. Was this from? Who was she? What movie was it that she played Lena Luthor? I'm sorry, because it said
Supergirl.
It wasn't the movie, it was the TV show.
Okay, because it like gave options of like the actress's name, and I was like, I don't know which one is which.
Yeah, what is her name? She's
Katie McGrath, I think.
Katie McGrath, that's who it is.
But then I couldn't put Lena Luthor Morgana. It didn't work.
No.
There we go.
Oh yeah, she's hot. Yeah, that's exactly how I imagined her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you could also say that that's Glorian as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the hard part, though. That's the really hard part.
The younger version of Glorian.
Yeah.
Because Glorian is only like 16, right?
Yeah, she's really young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's 16 because they talk about her like at that age where they're looking at marriage.
Yeah.
And then of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. So there's no spoilers.
Spoilers.
So have there been any characters or characteristics in books that you've read recently, or anything that you can just like think up off the top of your head that haven't worked, that you've been like, oh my god, this is the most annoying main character I've ever read? And we'll keep it like positive, like
This is the most
even
annoying
though-
main character,
Let's
but be
not just
positive
bash
about it.
everyone's
Or
writing.
you
but-
could see what the writer's going for, but it just didn't hit home.
I can talk about one because everybody else loves it, but it just didn't work for me.
Ooh, yeah, spill the tea.
I mean, I already talked about it before, but it's the Gideon from Gideon the Ninth.
Oh, right.
I understand everybody else loved it. I could not get into that character. I just felt, and I think it was supposed to be that way. She's supposed to be brash and like uncaring and stuff like that. To
And
an
almost
extent.
an unreliable narrator. That's what people were saying, was that Gideon is an unreliable narrator in the sense of, I mean, obviously I haven't read it, so correct me if I'm wrong for those who have,
Yeah.
but that Gideon is also just a big weirdo
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and I said it before, she comes off as like a frat boy to
Yeah.
me, and I did not like it. It was so annoying to me, and I wanted to like it, and I liked, I can't remember what the princess's name or whoever she is in the book, but
Harrow?
Harrow.
I only know that because in freaking Crimson Moth, the characters who work together are Gideon and Harrow.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
weird.
It was, and I don't know if they're like friends, and she did that on purpose. Because I'm curious to know if they are some way connected in that. Yeah, I'm going to name these characters after your characters.
Yeah.
But in that book, Gideon was a man,
Yeah.
a very stupid man.
The thing is that I kind of liked Harrow. I was interested
Yeah.
in Harrow, and I know that I think Harrow's the main character of the second book or something
Mhm.
like that. But I could not get past Gideon, so I couldn't read the book.
Yeah. That calendar I told you about, that I have the Priory of the Orange Tree fan art. I also have Gideon and Harrow fan art for it as well. And they made Gideon look like a frat boy. In like a wife beater. I'll send you a picture.
I'm sure.
It is so funny.
I think it's supposed to be. I think there's supposed to be some sort of like character growth to an extent.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to. It is a likable character. Puts on this front. You get to know the real Gideon and all that. I'm sure that's something in there. I know it's their like banter and back and forth that everybody likes, I just didn't like the character enough to, I'm like, I don't care what's underneath.
It's like when they say, like, with alcohol, it's a acquired taste or something.
Yeah.
You just have to suffer the whole time until you don't suffer anymore. With Gideon, you just have to suffer until you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to finish, or I started it as well, and I do want to finish it, but I just have so many other books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. It was really funny. Sorry, this is a side note really quick before I get into mine. My husband was looking at our bookshelves and goes, "Did you get new books?" And I go, What books? What do you think? He's like, "Well, I don't remember seeing these ones and these ones." Oh, my mom, she bought me the hard copy. She bought the hardbacks of Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. And she goes, "I'm not going to keep them. Do you want them?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I loved them."
Yeah.
And so she brought me those. And he goes, "I haven't seen those before." And I go, "Oh, yeah, my mom gave them to me." And he goes, "And I don't remember you reading these ones." And I go, "See that top entire row of shelves? I haven't read any of those."
Yep.
Those are all books I bought that I haven't read yet. So it's funny that you're like, "I have so many books." I was like, just talking to my husband about that.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Hanson came into the office while I was just finishing up work. And he was like, "Yeah, you have a ton of books." And I was like, yeah. And he was like, "Which ones, how many of these haven't you read?" And I was like, "You really want to know?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, just tell me." And I was like, "Okay, this entire shelf right here, plus half of this shelf. And it's over 100 books." Well, it's probably less than 100 because I've been doing really good about reading from my TBR. But he was just like, and then just walked away.
Non-bookworms will never understand bookworms.
Yeah. It's nice, though, because the shelf space is all mine.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Jelani has a lot of books. He likes to buy books, and he does like to read. He just also really likes to video game and work out, and he has a lot of other hobbies that take too much time for reading is lower on the priority list.
Yeah, because I recommended the Star Wars book to him.
Yeah. I think
How
he
many
read
years ago now?
1 page. So yeah, for me, I mean, I kind of got into this when we were talking about Elspeth, and this is the rant that I went on with Megan. I feel like what frustrates me is that authors right now are going for strong female characters, and I love strong female characters. I really want to see more strong female characters. I think that that's a great idea, but the way they try to portray strong female characters is like, it comes across a lot of times whiny and brash and like not calculating. And it's like, you can be strong and independent woman while also thinking 4 steps ahead and not necessarily just speaking your mind every time you think about it, and not necessarily saying the first thing that comes to your mind and picking the first fight that you see coming up. Like, but all the female characters start to feel the same to me when they're all the ones that are like, oh, and it's also a big like turning point with the love interests. A lot of times is the love interest does one thing wrong and it's like, oh, you did this and I'm mad at you, and like, I can't talk to you and I'm going to sit here and hold a grudge for forever because you did this one thing, and I'm not going to think about like why you could have done it, what the extenuating circumstances are, and then 50 pages later, we'll actually have a discussion. I'll be like, oh, that makes sense why you did that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then all is forgiven. And it's like, this felt like a cop-out of like, I'm a strong, independent woman and I'm not going to take your crap. And then just like 50 pages later, it's like, oh, that made sense. I want unique characters that are strong but also have depth to them, not just spout off at the mouth at the first thing they say.
Something I read, and they said like a trend in certain female main characters is like basically they take the qualities of a like male character and throw it on a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Marissa's nodding.
Yeah, that's... Continue.
It's just they take the qualities that we see in a man that we don't like, and it's just like, oh, so it's 2 points to this. One is they take the qualities of a man that we would normally not like, and they say, oh, well, now she's strong.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, she's still a jerk. She's still not treating people nice. Or they take like a woman. I'm trying to like explain this in a way. I'm good with writing words, not speaking.
When I have
Off the
time
top
to
of your
think
head.
it out, I can write well.
And I was trying to think it out as she was talking. but it's another quality is they take these qualities that are normal in men and they're just like, oh no, she's like, it's either a negative thing or a positive thing.
Right.
I don't know. It's very difficult.
They're trying to write a woman like they'd write a man, essentially, and like.
But I wouldn't like those qualities on either
man.
a guy or a girl.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times too, what's happening is like, and this will like literally just go into a feminist rant if I let myself, but like women are getting tired of the patriarchy and being told to keep our mouth shut. And,
Yeah.
you know, and so like a lot of times what's happening is women are trying to write girls that aren't afraid to speak up and
Yeah.
say things like that, which I think is a good thing, but it's just because you can say something doesn't mean you should say things all the
Yeah.
time. And it doesn't, and just doing that doesn't solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's better ways of doing it than just doing it like a man would do and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I just because we don't want to be told to shut up and sit in the kitchen and make sandwiches and stuff doesn't mean that we have to act like the men that we want to be.
Right.
You know, like, or whatever. We can be women and still get our point across,
Yeah.
which is what's failing.
Sorry, I was just listening to Honey, I'm Home by Shania Twain in my head when you said that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what sucks is I love sandwiches. I really
I like
love
to be in the kitchen.
I
really do enjoy
I
the
like
kitchen.
baking. I don't like cleaning or cooking, but I like baking
Yes.
and sandwiches. Anyway, Marissa had a thought that
Yes.
she was going to say earlier.
Oh, I was just because you were talking about like female characters written with male qualities. I think that happens a lot with male authors that are writing female. Not all of them, obviously. There's some great ones out there that do well. Neil Gaiman, I'm sure Brandon Sanderson.
It's on my list.
I know.
Spencer.
There are exceptions to it, and there's a lot of exceptions to it, but I think there are also a lot of male authors that will write female characters, and I think they try to write, like you said, that strong female character, so they think, I'll write them like my male characters,
Yeah.
and it doesn't translate well.
Right.
That being said, once again, gender's a spectrum, and all traits can apply to anybody at any point.
Absolutely.
A hard part for me is that a lot of like recommended lesbian novels and stuff like that are written by men are not actually well written because the man doesn't know how to write a lesbian relationship. Granted, there are still some that work out, but there are some that do not as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a hard part of balancing, of trying to find a way to write about something that you can't personally relate to in any way.
Right.
But does that mean that you shouldn't? So that's a
No,
whole other topic.
That's what I'm saying is it's difficult to do, but it's not impossible to do.
There you go.
Where
That's a good
there
way
are
of doing
people
it.
that are exceptions. Neil Gaiman, Brandon Sanderson, Jay Kristoff,
Garth Nix.
Like, one of my favorite trilogies, which I wouldn't say it's like top 5, but it's definitely up there, is the Nevernight trilogy by Jay Kristoff.
Yeah.
Main character is female. She has a lesbian love interest at some point. It's like, it was well written and I liked it a lot. And it never really felt like, oh, I'm reading this woman written by a man.
Yeah.
So there are ways to do it, and I think that it should be done, but it should be done right.
Yeah. And there's so much research out there that you can do. You could talk to lesbians and just be like, hey, can you read this and let me know if I'm doing this okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing to do, is get other people to read it before you
Yeah.
put it out there, to be like, hey, how can I make sure this is written with the right representation?
Exactly.
And that goes for male, female, gay, straight,
Autistic.
deaf,
different
other
cultures.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that that's the biggest thing is if you want to write about a culture or a gender or anything that you are not in, talk to someone who is part of that.
Yeah.
And because even if you just have one friend who you can talk ideas with, that person, being able to have that one person that has actually been there and can call you out on things that are either just stereotypes or just plain facts that are wrong, having that person, or being able to put something in there that someone else can relate to is important. So obviously I'd rather you not talk to just one friend, but I know that writing is also very, very deeply personal, and sometimes it's hard to let it like ton of people read it. So you don't want to just join a forum and be like, here, let me throw my manuscript at 20 people that don't know me. But
I just had a flashback, and this is going to be a side note, but I just had a flashback to this one girl that I knew from when I lived in Korea. And I ran a writing club every Thursday night. And so she came to the writing club one time, and we were just talking about writing. And at the time I was just like, what was it? I think we were talking about Buffy or something. And I was saying how, I was listening to this one podcast at the time, and it was Stuff Mom Never Told You. And they talked about how Buffy had only 2 people of color in the entire show. Yep. And I was saying like, yeah, that's, I mean, it's a product of its time, of course, but, we should take strides to, and she went off on this, the girl went off on this like thing about, well, it's really difficult for me to do that. And for reference, she was white. It's really difficult for me to do that because since I'm from this small town, Maine, there's no CEOs are black. So I'm not going to write a black CEO. And I was just like, what? And she was like, yeah, I don't really know how to do that. And I was like, you write a CEO and you just say they're black. Like, or, I mean, why does their skin tone even matter? You want to have representation, so you have to really strive for it. And she just went off and she was just like, but I can't do that because I don't know. And I was like, then you talk to someone.
Yeah.
Right.
You like send a kind message. You go on LinkedIn or whatever and you talk to someone and just say like, hey, I'd like some information. Can I just ask you a couple questions? And she was just like, are you calling me racist? And I was like, you are the one who's not trying.
Yeah.
Like, you have just given up because you have this idea that you cannot do this.
Right.
And we stopped talking very soon after that because I had no interest in talking to her.
The other cool thing about writing, though, you have to know what you're writing, like what setting you're writing in.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're writing a fantasy, and you can make your world as accepting or not accepting as you want it.
Yeah.
And if you want there to be some sort of discrimination and you don't have any personal experience with that because of your background, yes, talk to other people so you can get that information. Now, if you're just writing something that's completely different, there's no discrimination on that front or anything. Just describe the characters however you want to describe it to give them that representation. Like, if this is, for example, a black CEO, but let's say this is a different world that there was never anything against black people. There was no racism
wouldn't be a
there.
thing.
It wouldn't be a thing. Just describe it and you're describing a person.
Yeah.
And 100%, you can still do that for a contemporary one.
Exactly.
But if you wanted to give that character depth and you wanted to give some sort of like, there was some sort of conflict in there, talk to somebody so you can get that conflict.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're just a person. Describe the person.
I know.
It's interesting because I was thinking about, when I was thinking about characters and stuff and books that I enjoyed characters in, for me, like, something that I really enjoy is when a author has very, very, very diverse characters. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be different cultures. They could be different sexualities or just have very different ideologies. One of my favorite books that we've talked about before, one of my favorite series was the Daevabad trilogy, the City of Brass and stuff. It all takes place in a world of jinn in the Middle East, so they're all gonna look pretty Middle Eastern, but they have different religious sects and they're different types of jinn, and they all have such very, very strong and different opinions on things that she wrote prejudice and discrimination so well in it, even though it wasn't about skin tone or where they were from necessarily. It was about their jinn and it was about where
the history
from,
that they had.
The history of it.
Yeah.
And so you can still write it without writing what you have to write. Then you have things like the Six of Crows, where they are all very different cultures, that take ideologies from different cultures that we have in our world. Obviously, like, was it the Shu were very obviously Chinese based, and then they had the
Ketterdam was no, what was Ketterdam? What's that country?
We had the
Netherlands.
The Netherlands. That was
Russia.
the fjord. The Fjordans were the
Russians.
Netherlands.
Ketterdam is the Netherlands.
Ketterdam was the melting pot. Ketterdam was the central part where everyone kind of came into.
I thought
it.
it was like based off of a specific city. From
I
the
think it was
Netherlands.
supposed to be. Oh, well, maybe I don't know, but I think it was supposed to be the place that like everyone kind of came to. That was like kind of like the port town that.
Yeah, that's what I got the impression of that.
Yeah,
So I don't know if there was something.
I think the Fjordans were the
Russians.
the
Nethers.
Netherlands. It was kind of the blonde hair, blue eyed guys. The Russians were the Raviks.
Oh, Ravkins.
Ravkins. Yeah.
You're right.
And so
All
it's
the
like
names.
well, it's been like 7
Forever.
years since
Yeah.
we've read these books. And but yeah, they had the obvious different traits that way and stuff. And then they had sexuality representation too with Jesper and Waylon. They had the Matthias and Nina as the straight couple. They had
Different
Kaz
religions.
and Ed. Yeah, they had
Yeah.
different religions.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job with that too.
I won't go too far into
We
it.
would.
One, because I know you still got to read it, Jenna, and two, because we're gonna have a whole episode on it. But the Amina Asrafi, I was surprised by how well they did the different ideologies in that, because they talk about different religions in that. And at first, I was a little bit put off by it, but the way that it ended up working out was really cool.
I liked it, especially in the beginning, because I know very little about Islam. So I felt like that was a good like little insight to, I mean, obviously it was biased because Amina al-Sarafi has her own way of dealing with her own religion and her own beliefs and stuff. But I really liked it because it was just a little insight to something that I don't really know much about.
Yeah. Which
So.
is another thing. That's something I think that people need to think about is like, you don't, just because you can't relate to something doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And as an educational experience. You know, we're not Islamic, but you can learn a lot from that religion from reading something from someone's point of view and how it's important to them. And it puts you in their point of view. It's something for me. I remember The Hate You Give was a big one for that for me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Realizing how reading from a point of view where this situation affects that culture so significantly and these people. And so like, just because it's not something that I believe in or do or feel with Islam, it's not my religion, doesn't mean that it's not a great point to learn something.
Right.
Yeah. I like that about diverse characters. I like it.
Going back to the topic at hand, there hasn't really been a character in a book that I've read recently. I think it's more just like certain characteristics. So as someone who's a very big extrovert and I have no shame, it's very hard for me to read characters that are so introverted or have social anxiety that I can't relate to it in a point. And there's not really one that I've read recently, but I just remember a couple characters where I was just like, just go out. Just go. Just do it. And they're like, I physically can't because it's so terrifying. And I'm just like, okay, I'll try to understand, but it's a little difficult. I do try to understand, especially with my super introverted friends, of being like, hey, I know I can be enough. Just like, be like, hey, Megan, it's quiet time now. to try and I'm trying to be more open about like, you know, other people's thoughts. So that's like the biggest hang up that I have with certain characters. I also do get very, very tired of the characters that are considered to be strong, but they're just mean.
Yeah.
And they don't treat the like side characters very well. I will say, like, I feel, to me personally, that Aelin from Throne of Glass is very much like that, in that she is just very selfish. And I know that's like, there's a reasoning behind it now. I know that
I just hit her.
bonked my head on the little microphone arm. Anyway, I know that like there's a reasoning behind how she is the way she is, but I just don't like when characters are just mean for the sake of being mean, or because they're just like that's just like their character is just, no, I'm strong, therefore I must be mean to everybody.
See, to me, I think I said it to you at one point. Like, to me, a lot of times they just start to blend together and feel like the same character when they do that.
That's it.
It's like, to me, Aelin felt the same to me as Jude from from
Cruel Prince.
Yeah, Cruel Prince, and that felt the same as Amelia from Kingdom of the Wicked.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's just this like, I'm trying to be a strong, only care about my plot line essentially character, and it just doesn't come off as it doesn't come off as a readable character to me. I don't enjoy them very much.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times because of that, I feel like everything feels forced. Like, it doesn't feel like the type of, especially dialogue, that you would actually have in real life. Like, no one just up and says things like that aloud, because they're usually have an inner monologue that tells them, don't say that out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they all end up reading the same to me that way.
I'm trying to think of an example for something I've read, because all of those books I haven't read. So but I can't think. I'm sure there's somebody out there that I know of, but I probably read it and was like, I didn't like this, so I erased it from my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I'm trying to think of like the characters that we have read like together from Owl Crate or in our like major readathons that we've done this year.
Yes.
All our assigned book reading. But honestly,
I'll be honest, the book that I was supposed to be reading had that kind of feel.
where the main character
was kind of like, I have all these prejudices because I grew up this way, and therefore I've made up in my head that I'm mad at you, and I'm just going to be mad at you because of something I made up in my head, and I don't actually know any answers. And I was just like, if we try to annotate this,
Yeah.
it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I think that maybe you could enjoy it if we were reading it differently, get past that. But when you're in the moment and annotating line by line, it would have made it hard to enjoy.
I have a list of characters that I think that kind of break away from that strong female character syndrome that we have just discussed that we don't really care for. And I think one of them is Ness from City of Nightmares that I've talked about a lot, in that she has these major phobias. So she's scared of everything, but she is still strong in that she's like, I'm willing to tackle my phobias in order to like save this person who I care about. And so to me, that is a strong character, because she has these phobias, but she's like, yes, I am willing to face them in order to help someone. So to me, that's very strong.
I think one that comes to mind a lot for me is Juliet from Shatter Me. And I know
I disagree.
So here's what I liked about Juliet.
In the first book, she was unique.
So here's what I enjoyed about her, is that it was, and let me I will preface this that I have only read the first 3 trilogy. When she came back and wrote more books, I did not go back and read the other books that she decided to extend this. So I just read that trilogy. What I enjoyed about Juliet is that there was character growth. And when she started out, and what I think that what I liked about her is that when she started out, she was terrified. She had this power that killed people and was destructive, and she was locked away in a mental institution. And what I enjoyed about the writing of these characters is that it shows the impact that your friends and significant others have on you. So for Juliet, she was scared. She didn't want to use her powers. She didn't want to. She didn't think she was strong. She thought she was a monster. She also was crazy. Like, it's written in an interesting way where things are stricken out in the book, because she's like,
her thought process
was that way. And then she grows into her power and becomes the strong character. And yeah, it does kind of fall into a little bit of the tropes of the, oh, I'm a strong character, so now I can, take on the world and do everything on my own. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm strong and therefore I'm going to be strong right away. It was, she had to like learn her powers, learn what she did. And her first boyfriend was like, let me save you from yourself kind of thing. And so it still kept her in that like bout of like, yeah, I'm strong, but like he's saving me from who I was. And I love him for trying to protect me. And then the relationship fell apart because that's not sustainable. You can't stop who you are. And then she had her friend Kenji, who like showed the power of her friendship with like accepting who you were, and he was an interesting and
The
fun
power
character.
of friendship.
The power of friendship. And then
It's the real journey on
Warner. Everyone loves Warner because he was like the psychopath bad guy who turns into the boyfriend. But he was the one who was like wanted to use her power from the get-go and went about it all wrong in the beginning, but like she ended up with him because he ended up making her acknowledge her power and become stronger and stuff like that.
Accept it, yeah.
And accept who she was.
Yeah.
And utilize it. And I think that that was a really good book in watching character growth rather than just the Throne of Glass. With me felt like Aelin was like
angry and mean the whole time. Yeah.
And I'm strong no matter what because I'm strong, even though I spent all this time in a mine as a slave, and her character didn't feel like it grew necessarily. So if you can write strong female characters, even ones that are kind of annoying, if it feels like they're actually growing to a point of being that way, I think. Or you see why they became that way. Not just she's that way because trauma, and therefore she'll always be that way because trauma.
Yeah. She needs a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah. How about you, Marissa? Do you have any characters that differ from like the normal of what you normally read?
Different from what I normally read?
Or like any characters that like, you know, the trend right now is the strong female characters, but you have any characters you can suggest that don't fall into that category? It doesn't have to be recent books. It could be older books too, if you remember growing up with any certain characters.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty. I just can't. That's not what I was thinking of when we were talking about.
That's okay. What were you thinking of?
I don't know. You were just talking about like strong character and strong character growth, and so I was even going back to like stuff like the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah,
where like Katniss is like, she's strong because it's survival.
Yep.
But she's not like mean about it, and then she becomes mean about it because she's like, well, everybody's gonna try to kill me, so there's no reason to be nice, really.
But even then, she was mean, again, only for survival.
Yeah, it wasn't like she was being like, I'm tearing you down for any reason. It was just kind of like, I can't get attached to people here.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a wall she put up.
Right.
And then you get past the first book, and it's like, okay, I don't have to do, like, I just have to live with my trauma.
Yeah.
And then you get past the second book, and you're all like, oh, now I'm becoming this, like, figure for a revolution, and it's really difficult.
Right.
Which she never really wanted to be. And it was like, she just wanted to save her sister, and it's like, but she's thrust into this position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked her story a lot because it was, like, everything about her stayed true to herself. And she did grow, but she grew because of outside influences.
Yeah.
It was never like she had something she had to overcome. Like, she had little things that she had to overcome, but she was already a strong character to start out with. Mm-hmm. And then outside influences changed her, and she had to learn to adapt to that. And I think that was really
Adapt.
Cool.
That's the whole thing, is like, yeah. She was strong because she was sustainable.
Yeah.
She knew how to, like, take care of herself and her family, even though, you know, times were very hard and it was very difficult. But then, right, being thrust into the Hunger Games themselves, it kind of shows, you know, the depths she's willing to go in order to survive, but also help Peeta survive as well.
Yeah, and she was never, like, you'll notice she was never, like, the aggressor in anything. It was all defense and survival.
Yep.
And that was the cool part. And it wasn't until the third book that she really became the aggressor.
Yeah.
Because she needed to be, because she's like, well, now I'm being put at the forefront of all of this, and I have to push back.
I'm going to go home and watch those movies again. They're so good. You could even say on the flip side, I only recently watched, I never read The Ballad of Songbird and Snake.
I didn't either, but we
watched
watched
the movie. Yeah, I watched the movie. And so seeing Coriolanus, his descent into villainhood from that was really intriguing, from being this golden boy to then I assume the book kind of goes more in depth into his feelings for
I hear the book he's a much bigger jerk.
Interesting, because I will say in the movie he seemed just like he just wanted to get straight A's and do his duty to the Capitol. But
I've heard, and once again I haven't read it, so this is with a grain of salt. This is all just here like what I've heard. But I hear in the book he is still like this huge jerk, and you see the villain in him a lot more.
Oh, that makes me so interested. I want to read the book now.
Yeah.
We also are getting a Haymitch book, which I'm very excited for.
Dude, that one's going to be great because his was supposed to be, they doubled everything. So it was like 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh.
Because he had the other quarter.
He was the quarter quell, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they were like, we're taking 2 boys and 2 girls from each district. So it was like a huge thing.
Dang. And seeing his descent into what we know of Woody Harrelson's character is going to be really interesting, because we already know him as his trauma is manifesting in alcoholism.
Yeah.
And so seeing what he had to do in order to get to that point. But then obviously at the end of Hunger Games, he kind of was able to pull himself together and really help out. Did I imagine it, or did him and Effie Trinket get together?
I don't
in the
think
books,
they got
you guys?
together.
Okay.
I want to say
Did
they did have something.
They had a moment, right?
Yeah.
Or a little chemistry there.
I want to reread the books because I
it's
feel
been
like
a while since
I haven't.
read the books.
The books have been so long ago, and the books. Look, the movies are amazing. The movies are a great adaptation of the books. However, there is something that you always get from a book that you will not get from the movie, and there's a lot of like the romance and even the love triangle was actually much better written in the book, because the whole analogy was, it wasn't Peeta and Liam Hemsworth,
Gale.
I was like, it was her desire for peace versus her desire for change.
Exactly, yeah.
And so like the analogies and the way it was written and all of that was better. And to be honest, her chemistry with Peeta was way better in the books than it was in the movies. The movies kind of didn't do it as much justice as it should have. But I would like to go back and reread them and see all the things that I've forgotten about, because I've only watched the movies so recently.
Right.
See, I'd like to reread it with a different mindset, because when I read it, I was a teenager, liking it as a teenager, and now that I'm an adult, I'd like to reread it with the different mindset of like, okay,
these are children.
Right. Yeah, not even just that, but just like see more of the political structure of it and everything. I think I would analyze that a lot more. Because, like, I mean, I do that with the movies, but I think when I was reading it as a kid, it was like, oh God, a love triangle and these stupid things going on. And I'm like, I just want to read about the killing and like the terrible things that are happening. And now I want to like read it and be like analyzing more of it.
Also, when you're reading it, especially almost any book, the first time you're reading it, you don't necessarily know exactly where it's going. You know,
oh right.
Even if you know, hey, this is the main character, she's probably going to be the one that survives. You know, you don't necessarily know what's going on, but rereading it and knowing where it's going, you're able to pick up on a lot more as you reread books that way. Mm-hmm. That's why I enjoy rereading things. You can't always do it like right away, but I feel like it's been enough decades.
That's me.
I also think it'll be quick enough because it's not it's not like a big thick book. It's a nice,
they're pretty quick. Yeah,
I think they'd be quick reads. So
they're what, 2010 dystopian novels? 2009. I'm trying to remember when I read them. I was in college when I read them, but all 3 books had already come out. So all right, is there any other characters? Do we want to do a quick round of villains or save that for another episode?
I think we should save villains for another one.
All right.
I think
we're at an hour mark, so.
We did really talk a lot about characters, and I think villains would be a really fun episode.
All right, then we'll save our villains. How about anti-heroes? We can do a quick round of anti-heroes. Do you guys know of any anti-heroes that really...
I wouldn't have it off the top of my head.
Dang it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
we got to prepare.
Yeah, that's if we were more prepared, I probably could have done it. But
that could also be categorized as villains as well. So
villains turned.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we had a good discussion today.
Yeah,
we went a little bit off topic, but it was still within the range of like characterizations and how it works and how it doesn't work for certain books and for readers. So,
tell us what you guys like. What characteristics do you like to see in your main characters or even your side characters?
Oh, yeah. We could do a whole thing on side characters as well.
That's what I thought this whole discussion was going to end up being. What I talked about was side characters, because side characters are usually the ones that I relate to more or I focus on a bit more. But yeah.
Yeah. We ended up talking mostly main characters and things like that.
Strong female characters.
Yeah.
A lot of those. Yeah.
We didn't even get into love interests.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can do an entire episode on love interests.
Like I said, this brought up a lot more of
the umbrella of just all characters in general. Yeah. Okay, Jenna, tell us where they can find us.
Find us on Instagram or Facebook at Brawless Book Guild Podcast. Email us at thebrawlessbookguild@gmail.com. Wait, I think it's just Brawless Book Guild, not that. Don't put that in there. brawlessbookguild@gmail.com.
Try both.
Just send an email. Follow us along, like, review, subscribe, text us. Not text us.
Don't text us.
Please don't text us. I don't need any text messages.
You can message us on Instagram.
Message us on Instagram. Message us on Facebook. Send us an email. Comment on our stuff. This is how we know you guys like us and what you want us to talk about. Send us books that we should read. Add to our ever-increasing TBR.
Especially if they involve really awesome characters.
Right. Yeah. Interact with us, guys. That way we're not just talking to each other.
I don't mind.
Yeah, it's fine.
I love talking to you guys. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So to end our thing, what are you guys reading these days? Let's start with Marissa. We started with Jenna earlier. Let's start with Marissa.
I already talked about it a bit. I'm still reading A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Is that her name? I apologize. I'm really bad with authors, guys. But yeah, I'm reading that. I started, what was it? Masters of Death by Olivia Blake when I went on my trip. But that has been put on the back burner because I'm more interested in A Day of Fallen Night right now. So
yeah,
that's what I'm focusing on.
It's one that it will take a hot minute to get through.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, as I'm reading, I still love it and I'm still getting into it. But if I'm ever like, okay, I'm not quite in the mood for this, I'm in the mood for something else, I'll pick up another book and start it.
Yeah. How about you, Jenna?
I also started Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. And Marissa and I she started when she was on her trip, and I think we got to about the same part, and she seemed more interested in her books, and we kind of were like, okay, we'll put this on the back burner. We'll still read it when we get to the chance, but it's very prose heavy, and it's written very well, I think, but sometimes it's not as engaging, or it's not the plot that I'm looking for right now, is what I'm thinking. That's the best way to put it. I had also gotten One Dark Window at the same time and had literally started both of them within like 2 days of each other, and just finished One Dark Window, and I think I'm just going to jump right into Two Twisted Crowns,
as you should.
I can just finish those and get it all in.
By Rachel Gillig.
Rachel Gillig. And then I'm also annotating Beach Read for our best friend Hannah.
Well, it's technically my book.
Yeah.
So technically it's for me, but it was originally annotated by best friend Hannah.
Yeah.
And then she gave it to me, and then I said, hey, Jenna, you should read this, because I finished it in less than 24 hours.
Yes.
So, all right. I am currently reading, I'm probably on my way home going to finish up Isles of the Gods by Amy Kaufman. Also, if anyone is interested, we will be at an Amy Kaufman signing in Roseville on September 21st. So if you want to stop by and say hi to both us and, of course, Amy, we'd love to
and Stephanie
engage.
Garber, right?
Stephanie Garber, yeah, she's in conversation with each other, which I will have. Oh, and then Meg Spooner's going to show up as well.
Yeah.
So I am going to be bringing a lot of books for everyone to sign.
Yes.
I have way too many. And so I'm finishing up that. I'm going to finish that on the way home. And then I am also reading Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett, who did the Emily Wilde's book that I have recommended plenty. So I thought I'd go into that one. And that's very much a young adult book, but I'm excited to see where that one goes. All right, we're going to finish up with a quote by Ray Bradbury. Plot is no more than footprints left in the snow after your characters have run by on their way to incredible destinations. Yeah.
I love it.
As writers, we know. We love it. And your characters should just lead the way.
Yeah.
So, all right. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Dun 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 dun.